Please welcome General Manager, Marketplace and Control Services, AWS, Stephen Orban.
Good morning, Las Vegas. It is awesome to be here with all of you this morning. I know it's been a tough year for many of us, tough couple of years for many of us, and I hope you, your family, and your loved ones are all healthy and staying safe. I, for one, am super excited to be here meeting with many of you and learning from all of the awesome innovation that you're driving around the world. My name is Stephen Orban, and I look after AWS Marketplace and Control Services. And I've had the pleasure of working in a variety of different roles at AWS over the course of the last 7 years. First, as our head of enterprise strategy, helping enterprises all over the world with their digital transformations and migrating to the cloud. Then as the founder and general manager of AWS Data Exchange, before assuming the role that I have now earlier this year. And prior to joining AWS, I had the opportunity to be the CIO at Dow Jones, where I worked with some of the brightest minds in both financial services and media as we helped Dow Jones and their parent company, News Corp, transform using modern technology. And if it's one thing that I've learned over the last decade or so, it's that organizations of all shapes and sizes need to think about how they go about their work differently and make innovation a part of their DNA if they're going to remain successful in today's market segments. And I don't mean by funding 1 or 2 R&D projects off to the side to say that they're doing digital transformation. I mean by training and enabling their teams to use the best tools to unleash the best ideas that are likely already locked up inside the minds of their builders. And we're seeing this happen across every major business segment. In financial services, Capital One has completely transformed the way they operate in the cloud. They've trained and enabled thousands of IT associates on the cloud and have created a culture where they can quickly respond to customer needs as they've removed the need to operate their data centers by migrating them to the cloud. FactSet and Experian are driving similar transformations as they reimagine how they deliver content and user experience to their customers. In healthcare and life sciences, Moderna is accelerating the rate at which they develop vaccines and other drugs using the scalable and compute environments that one can only find in the cloud. Illumina is sequencing genomes an order of magnitude faster and more cost-effectively using some of the same technology. In retail, Brooks Brothers can now spin up new initiatives to test how customers react to different commerce experiences in days instead of weeks. And Petco moved to a microservices architecture in the cloud, which has enabled them to continuously reinvent ways to help pet parents, like myself, quickly get the grooming and the supplies that they need to take care of their pets. In the supply chain space, Carrier developed a new digital system called Lynx, where they used analytics to reduce food spoilage throughout the stages of refrigeration, storage, and transportation. And Siemens transformed the way they monitor more than 200 electricity, gas, and water utility companies using the cloud. And more than 6,500 public sector partners, including the US federal government and the UK Ministry of Justice, are using AWS to transform the way they work. NASA has created a cloud-native image and video library to make its vast wealth of pictures, video, and audio files, many of which have come from other planets, easily discoverable in one centralized location. And you don't have to take just my word for it. Many industry analysts would agree. On top of some of the customers that I just mentioned, IDC estimates that 75% of organizations will be undertaking a digital transformation within the coming years. Now, when I was at Dow Jones, we went from 56 data centers around the world down to just 6, while migrating more than 75% of our IT estate to the cloud. And Gartner estimates that more than 80% of organizations are moving in the same direction, with the majority of organizations looking to do some sort of data center closures. And while many customers that we work with begin to consider the cloud because they have a compelling event, like a data center lease expiring or a disaster recovery scenario, most of the customers that we work with stay because of their newfound ability to move faster as they modernize their IT estate and their operating model. And that's showing up in global IT budgets around the world as organizations are doing this faster and more furiously than ever before. Gartner predicts that cloud will make up more than 14% of global enterprise IT spend in 2024, up from just 9% last year. And many of the enterprise customers that we work with are benchmarking themselves on where they fall within this spectrum to understand how far ahead or behind the curve they are. And while all the organizations that we work with are eager to transform, they want to do so safely, securely, and with a multitude of different partners and solutions that they use across their enterprise. And while AWS will continue to work backwards from customer needs to develop more services, we also recognize that all governments and enterprises have hundreds, if not thousands, of different vendors that they want to continue to work with as they transform. These customers told us that they want to be able to govern who spends what with whom, be able to buy in a self-service e-commerce fashion and privately negotiate larger contracts with their vendors, consolidate spending onto fewer invoices, and do so from a catalog of solutions that they trust. This is the set of problems that AWS has worked backwards from to envision and build AWS Marketplace over the last decade, and in doing so, have delivered what customers tell us is a comprehensive marketplace that is helping them transform their digital supply chains worldwide. Goldman Sachs, Samsung, Thomson Reuters, Merck, Bank United, and Ellie Mae are just a few of the more than 325,000 customers worldwide using AWS Marketplace to find, subscribe to, deploy, and govern software, data, containers, machine learning models, and professional services at scale from more than 2,000 sellers. And just like any AWS service, we are constantly working backwards from new customer and partner needs to drive the innovation into your digital supply chain. And we feel very fortunate that we've been able to innovate more capabilities faster than anybody else, largely because we've had the opportunity to work with more customers using AWS for more sophisticated workloads than any other cloud provider every day. To put this into perspective, when customers first asked us for partner solutions on AWS, we were the first cloud infrastructure provider to launch a marketplace in 2012, which gave customers self-service access to Amazon machine instances running popular open-sourced, packaged, and operating system software so that they could build their applications upon it. Now, at the time, buying software that you could automatically deploy into a pay-as-you-go IT environment using e-commerce capabilities was a pretty novel idea. But we love how much customers pushed us to do more. In 2014, we were the first cloud infrastructure marketplace to launch annual subscriptions, which, kind of like EC2 reserved instances, allowed buyers to commit to a year of usage at a discounted rate and set the stage for larger contracts to come to Marketplace. In 2015, we launched AWS Service Catalog and CloudFormation support, which made it easier for customers to automate the deployment of integrated solutions that may be comprised of multiple different instances or needed to configure other parts of their AWS environment and then share these solutions in a well-governed way across their teams. In 2016, we launched the ability for SaaS partners to list and price their software by number of users or the number of hosts, the amount of data scans or endpoints protected, or any other dimension that suits their business model. SaaS continues to be an outperforming category for us, with customers increasingly preferring SaaS over having to manage their own deployments. Now, it was around this time that customers told us that our e-commerce capabilities were great for smaller workloads. But as they promoted those into production workloads, or they wanted to use some of their existing partners to help them with larger migrations, they needed a way to negotiate custom pricing and terms with their vendors. So, in 2017, we were the first cloud infrastructure marketplace to launch private offers, which enabled customers to continue to enjoy consolidated billing, cost analysis, and subscription management that AWS Marketplace offers while paying a lower privately negotiated rate visible only to them and their seller. Then, once we supported private offers, customers told us that they often negotiate these contracts with resellers, distributors, or managed service providers. So in 2018, we were the first to launch channel partner private offers, so customers could transact using the channel partner of their choice, and we continue to handle the collection and disbursement to both the channel partner and the ISV. Also in 2018, we launched the ability for customers to vend machine learning models in containers through AWS Marketplace, where we've got some new innovation to talk about in a moment. Then in 2019, customers told us that they wanted the same experience they have buying software to apply to the way that they license data. So we launched AWS Data Exchange, where we've also got some new innovation to talk about. And in the same year, customers told us that they wanted to be able to have their marketplace purchases automatically sync with their internal systems. So we became the first cloud infrastructure provider to offer APIs to consolidate marketplace purchasing flows into customer procurement systems such as Coupa and Ariba. And last year, customers told us that they wanted an easier way to share entitlements. So we launched managed entitlements, so customers could do just that and not risk having to buy the same solution over and over. And finally, customers told us that they wanted to bundle professional services offerings into their software purchases so that they could also get the people services that they need to complete complex software integrations all in one place, consolidated on their AWS invoice. So we gave them that as well. With the most comprehensive set of procurement options, product types, and capabilities among any cloud infrastructure marketplace, it's no wonder there are so many customers and sellers now using AWS Marketplace. To put this into perspective, we work with more than 2,000 sellers who have listed more than 12,000 offerings that more than 325,000 customers either buy direct from the seller or from one of the more than 1,000 consulting partners of their choice. And when you sum all of this up, we've seen billions of dollars of products and services sold through AWS Marketplace this year alone, with more and more contracts worth millions of dollars as customers migrate some of their most strategic relationships and their workloads to the cloud. And this is across many of the sellers that some of you already use or maybe should consider using as part of your own transformation. We offer the most popular operating system software for both Linux and Windows, security software from Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, and Trend Micro, storage solutions from Druva, NetApp, and Commvault, industry-leading networking from Cisco, F5, and Citrix, data and analytics tools from MongoDB, Databricks, and Snowflake, monitoring from Splunk, AppDynamics, New Relic, and Datadog, DevOps tools from PagerDuty and HashiCorp, and business intelligence tools from Tableau, Tibco, and Matillion. And then as you move up the stack to horizontal business software, we've got contact center solutions from Genesys, Vonage, and OpenText, cost optimization from major players like Apptio, CloudHealth, and CloudCheckr, AdTech and MarTech solutions from Twilio, Acquia, and Amperity, training and education, courses and capabilities from aCloud Guru, Coursera, and Blackboard, business workflows from Adobe, Infor, and Sage. And we're super excited to have recently launched Zoom alongside other collaboration tools like Smartsheet, Freshworks, and Zendesk. And we're also increasingly helping customers with their industry-specific workloads for line of business users as well. Change Healthcare and Emergent Connect have solutions for healthcare professionals. PerkinElmer and Illumina have solutions for pharma companies and life sciences. Experian, Highland, and PayShield offer financial services solutions. Grabio and Teradisi in media and entertainment. Bosch and Rubicon have industrial supply chain management systems, and Ambient, AutoGrid, and Blueware have energy and sustainability capabilities as well. And with selection and capabilities this broad, it's no surprise that we're working with many of the different buying centers inside of a typical large enterprise. It often starts with the builders, who are laying the foundation for a large migration. Or it may start with the line of business, who's looking to acquire a fit-for-purpose SaaS application. Or it could be security-driven, with many of our sellers helping keep our customers' IT environment safe. And as contracts become more in number and in value, we work with the procurement, legal, and finance teams to help drive large-scale procurement transformation by integrating our service management and procurement system connectors to better govern spend across the enterprise. And in 2019, we started facing off with more chief data officers who are looking across the enterprise on how they manage and onboard their data spends. And to that end, we launched AWS Data Exchange in 2019 to make it easier for our customers to license data to each other. We now partner with over 200 data providers, covering healthcare and life sciences data from IBM, QIAGEN, and IHME, financial services data from FactSet, Tradeweb, and CoreLogic, location data from Foursquare, Kochava, and SafeGraph, media and entertainment data from IMDb, Reuters, and StatsPerform, consumer insights from Equifax, Experian, and Epsilon. And personally, I'm pretty excited that more and more customers are investing in understanding sustainability and their environmental impact, using data from vendors like SASB, Verisk, and Arabesque. Arabesque has grown their client portfolio 27% since joining AWS Data Exchange, and Foursquare has tripled their revenue on AWS Data Exchange over the last year and is looking to do so again next year with new offerings. Now, our initial launch made it easy for data providers to package the data that they're licensing into file-based data sets that they could update as they see fit. Customers who subscribed to this data received a notification every time the provider updated their data, and then they could automatically copy those files into their databases, ETL them into running an analytics job, or to retrain a machine learning model. Which we're seeing with companies like Yum Brands integrating data from Foursquare into the analytics that they run on AWS to optimize the placement of Taco Bell and KFC locations based on local foot traffic and buying behaviors. Now, this works great in the cases where the customer needs the entire data set and all of its history. But customers told us that they also wanted the ability to only query the data that they needed without having to ETL a file every time there was an update. So this week, we announced 2 new capabilities to make this possible. The first is AWS Data Exchange for Amazon Redshift, which we began a preview on a few weeks ago and will make generally available soon. This brings AWS Data Exchange and Amazon Redshift, not surprisingly, together in a very simple way so that customers can find, subscribe to, and then immediately query data from dozens of data providers operating on the same copy in Amazon Redshift without having to set up any ETL or data pipelining. This capability allows you to use data in place, taking a copy of data only if you need it, and know that you're always using the latest data that the provider has to offer since you're operating on the same copy that they publish to. Data providers who already use Amazon Redshift love this because they don't have to move their data or manage contracts or entitlements anymore. When someone subscribes to their Redshift data share, AWS Data Exchange automatically grants the entitlement for the length of the contract and revokes access when the subscription ends. A few of our launch partners include FactSet, who's made data covering global supply chain, corporate governance, and more available. Revelio Labs structures the global workforce, showing hiring and attrition trends at millions of companies globally. And Factious aggregates daily transaction data from more than 20 million consumers so their customers can analyze the revenue mix at thousands of US retailers. And it's only been a few weeks since we started our preview, but we're already seeing multiple customers use this to power production workloads. But we didn't stop there. We also heard that customers wanted the ability to access data one API call at a time, and then to be able to consistently govern those API calls the same way they govern their AWS APIs. So, on Monday, we announced the launch of AWS Data Exchange for APIs, which allows our partners to bring their existing APIs to AWS Data Exchange so customers can subscribe to them and start calling them using supported AWS SDKs, and the governance that they've come to expect from any AWS API like IAM or CloudTrail. This launch removes the need for customers to do bespoke API integrations because they can now call partner APIs the same way that they call any other AWS service, giving customers more data from more vendors in more formats to innovate on top of. And for data providers, this allows them to reach the millions of builders who are on AWS and already comfortable using our APIs. We think that the implications here are pretty extraordinary. Now you no longer have to search for, procure, and learn how to use bespoke APIs from IMDb, FactSet, Foursquare, Weather Trends, or PredictHQ, and those data providers no longer need to worry about how to scale to reach you. We handle all of this on your collective behalf with many free and contract-based APIs available today. Come check out some of the data we have from movies and entertainment from IMDb, finance data from FactSet, location data from Foursquare, weather data from Weather Trends, and event data from PredictHQ, and more at the link here. Altogether, these launches continue to make AWS Data Exchange the most comprehensive service for your third-party data needs. And we're super excited about all the innovation that you'll be able to now drive with data available from file-based data sets, Redshift data shares, and APIs. And speaking of data and analytics to transform one's business, I'm really excited to invite our next speaker to the stage. This organization has been using data and analytics for more than 100 years to help their clients achieve greater financial outcomes. And I've been lucky enough to work with them and learn from them over the last few years as we've built a number of innovative solutions together. Please help me welcome one of the brightest minds in financial services, Anne-Marie Darling from Goldman Sachs, to the stage.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm super excited to be here. It is so inspiring to see how customers are using AWS technology to pioneer new paths. AWS has really been a strategic collaborator, and together, we're reimagining financial services. I'll talk more about the collaboration in a minute, but let's start with the basic question. What does Goldman Sachs do? Goldman is a leading global financial institution that delivers a broad range of services to our clients. Across the firm, we serve consumers, corporations, and institutions, including the most sophisticated hedge funds, asset managers, and asset owners around the world. We have over 150 years of financial experience that has to operate at scale in every market. We are located in 100 offices and 35 countries. Technology and innovation is critical to everything that we do. The pace of innovation and velocity required to deploy our vast global market footprint and product coverage really requires cutting-edge technology. Over 25% of Goldman employees, that's more than 10,000, are engineers. They are driving critical new businesses and growth for our firm. Velocity is key to our success, and that is why the strategic collaboration with AWS is so important. We launched Marcus, a consumer digital banking business with millions of customers on AWS. We launched the Apple Card and transaction banking online with AWS, a cloud-native service. AWS Marketplace is a strategic channel for Goldman to procure third-party data and software, and has really been critical to our go-to-market strategy. We worked together to migrate Marquee onto AWS over the past few years. Marquee is our institutional digital storefront where clients can execute, consume content and ideas, risk analytics, proprietary data sets, and so much more. And in 2020, we publicly announced that we were going to externalize our core technology under the banner GS Financial Cloud. We'll talk more about that in a few moments. But why is this relationship so strategically important to us? First, we're building new businesses on AWS at scale, and it requires velocity. The cloud makes that possible. Second, we believe the industry is rapidly transforming to deliver developer services. AWS, our key partner, is on the forefront. We want to enable our clients by leading this transformation for the financial services industry. I'm going to talk a little bit about data. Extensive dialogue with our clients confirm data and analytics is key to create edge in financial markets. However, our clients confirmed that discovery, acquisition is quite painful and very expensive for them. Everyone is spending a significant amount of time and money to solve the same undifferentiated problems. But what's really the challenge in a nutshell? We have to reduce the time it takes to extract value from data. At GS, it's commercially important for us to access new data sets fast. Think about crypto, carbon, ESG. Data has to be sourced from thousands of places within Goldman efficiently. The data can be high frequency, sometimes taking thousands of times per second, or moving at the speed of financial markets. It has to be ready for our market professionals using tools that are specialized, fast, and reliable. We've broken this problem down into parts, and we worked with AWS to solve it for end-to-end for both our clients and the industry. Steps 1 and 2, discovering and ingesting data. These are non-domain specific heavy lifting that AWS does quite well. AWS Data Exchange allows us to access data in the cloud, and AWS Glue simplifies the ingestion process. Steps 3 and 4, modeling and analyzing. These steps require deep financial domain market expertise. We need to transform the data into our consistent models of financial markets. The data then needs to be analyzed by market professionals in a quick, flexible, and timely manner. All of these steps, 1 through 4, need to be built on secure infrastructure that efficiently scales. As we were solving this problem for ourselves, we realized clients were facing the same exact challenges. We quickly appreciated with AWS, we had the opportunity to collaborate here to combine our deep market expertise with AWS technology to develop a scalable, efficient analytics and data software to radically change the financial services industry. So we're really super excited to be here at re:Invent today to launch our first product offering, GS Financial Cloud. Through this new offering, clients can benefit from 150 years of Goldman expertise alongside AWS scale and on-demand technology. This is a one-stop shop financial data and analytics solution for developers of our institutional clients built with AWS. In very simple terms, what does that mean? Clients can rapidly combine and analyze financial data using the same tools that power Goldman Sachs trading floor with their own proprietary data. Clients can access select curated Goldman data and third-party data easily through the pipeline I just described. All of this is delivered through a cloud-native, modular, and integrated collection of services. Our engineers are at the forefront of innovation and transformation of the financial services industry. Similar to how AWS was conceived as streamlining Amazon's operations for the benefit of their clients, we're now taking our core technology services and going to externalize that for the benefit of our clients. This is the first offering as part of the collaboration with AWS to revolutionize cloud services for the financial community. With this new offering, we're going to disrupt the way financial services manage their data. But what does this actually mean in practice? Let's talk about a couple of client examples to make it more tangible. Starting with data analytics. Imagine a hedge fund can leverage the latest Goldman data and analytics tools across their firm, integrating their own proprietary data. This would include GS Quant, our Python analytics framework, and GS Plotzl Pro, time series visualization tool. Clients can also efficiently combine AWS analytic tools and machine learning. Let's move on to data discovery. Imagine a quant firm can compress many months of work onboarding, resolving, joining, and managing data feeds and go straight into deriving value from high-quality, curated data with deep history. We're already working with a number of strategic data partners for our clients. We look forward to working with many more providers to make this data available in GF services via Data Exchange. And in terms of data management, imagine an asset manager can deploy a managed service that is capable of integrating high-frequency, low-latency data in the cloud in a secure environment. This allows the client to rapidly accelerate building their own tools and applications that they can provide to their end client. This collaboration brings together the biggest names in cloud computing and institutional finance. And together, we're powering the client's acceleration of their journey to extract value from data and analytics. AWS clearly brings to the table thousands of data on data exchange, on-demand storage and compute, and of course, AWS Marketplace, which is critical to our go-to-market strategy. Goldman brings institutional-grade analytics, cross-asset market coverage, and decades of financial experience. Our solution allows developers to access this product on developer.gs.com, as well as through AWS Marketplace. It's also worth noting that this is really a business model evolution from Goldman. We've gone from being a consumer of AWS Marketplace to now a producer of new services and a software vendor in our own right on AWS Marketplace. We really believe this collaboration between Goldman and AWS will be transformative for the financial industry. We are creating a platform on which tomorrow's best financial firms will be built. The GS Financial Cloud empowers clients to fast-track their growth and innovate. It empowers developers to build the next generation of financial applications on an open and flexible tool, and bringing this product to life so quickly and effectively was because of the collaboration between our two firms and really made possible by AWS Marketplace. We're very excited to see what innovation built by you, powered by us, can ignite for our customers. Thank you.
Awesome job. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. We are also very excited, and it has been awesome working with you and your team over the last several years. And we're really excited to make your more than 100 years worth of financial services expertise available to more customers who are migrating to the cloud. And speaking of new capabilities available in the cloud, some of you may recall that we launched the announcement, or announced the launch of AWS Marketplace for Containers in 2018. This gave customers the ability to run third-party software in their AWS managed container environments from dozens of their most strategic vendors, including Fortinet, NetApp, Datadog, Aqua, Trend Micro, Citrix, and more. And while this capability was great for customers who ran their container environments on Amazon EKS, ECS, and AWS Fargate, we have a lot of customers who self-manage their own Kubernetes environments, either on AWS, on premises, or atop of another Kubernetes platform. And so earlier this week, for all the customers who run their own Kubernetes environments, we announced the launch of AWS Marketplace for Containers Anywhere, which will allow customers to find, subscribe to, deploy, and govern new container offerings directly onto the Kubernetes environment of their choice with just a few simple commands. This extends our existing support of AWS managed container environments, so customers can now deploy third-party containers onto the EKS Anywhere, Red Hat OpenShift, VMware Tanzu, Rancher, or a self-managed Kubernetes environment running on EC2 or on premises. Altogether, this continues to make AWS Marketplace more of a one-stop shop for customers who want to run software and containers in all kinds of environments. And here's just a few of the ISVs and sellers who are listing containers that can be run anywhere from AWS Marketplace. The Kasdin K10 by Veeam is a data management service purpose-built for Kubernetes that provides enterprises with backup restore, disaster recovery, and mobility of Kubernetes applications. Day2 IQ Commander is an advanced control plane that brings centralized observability, federated management, and granular cost control to Kubernetes environment. And vendors like Cisco and CrowdStrike either have or will have their containers anywhere available on AWS Marketplace soon. And to narrow in on one partner offering containers anywhere in particular, Palo Alto Networks' CN Series Container Firewall is the industry's first containerized next-generation firewall purpose-built for Kubernetes that provides best-in-class Layer 7 runtime protection across containerized workloads. And to talk a little bit more about their experience packaging and delivering their software to customers with containers, I'm happy to share with you this short video from Palo Alto.
Containers are ephemeral and inevitable. Gartner predicts that by 2022, more than 75% of global organizations will be running containerized applications in production, up from less than 30% today. But how secure are your containers? Visibility blind spots, misconfigurations, high severity CVEs, privilege escalation, zero-day exploits, supply chain attacks. It's a leaky boat indeed. It's no surprise that today container security is top of mind for security and risk management leaders, as is the need to streamline procurement. We know you like to build applications once and run them anywhere. What if they were also true for securing containers and streamlining procurement? Procure once and secure anywhere. Hello, I'm Anand Oswal, Senior Vice President of Network Security at Palo Alto Networks. AWS Marketplace is constantly innovating to help customers accelerate their digital transformation journey. Today, I'm delighted to be the first security company alongside AWS to unveil AWS Marketplace for Containers Anywhere. So what's in it for you? Our joint customers like you will benefit from the best of both worlds. First, AWS Marketplace for Containers Anywhere offers security and purchase flexibility. Customers can now deploy Kubernetes applications on EKS, on-premise environments using Amazon EKS Anywhere, or in self-managed Kubernetes clusters on-prem. Secondly, customers can expedite procurement, manage licenses, and streamline renewals and upgrades. And last but not the least, customers can secure their Kubernetes environments against network-based attacks with the purpose-built Palo Alto Networks CN Series next-generation firewall. I recently met with one of our joint healthcare customers in the United States. They have a large EKS on-premise container footprint. They said, Anand, I cannot wait for the CN series firewall to be available via Marketplace for containers anywhere. We expect it'll cut down procurement time by half, allowing us to serve our customers faster and make my team more productive. Well, the proof is in the pudding, as they always say. I invite you to visit the AWS Marketplace to test drive these new innovations. And please stop by the Palo Alto Networks booth 861 at re:Invent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anand. It's been a pleasure working with Palo Alto, and I'm really excited to see all the cloud migrations that they've unblocked with industry-leading networking and security solutions. Now, speaking of security, most of you probably already know that security has always been AWS's top priority. We build it into everything that we deliver for customers. And many of our customers are making security their top priority as well, and also making it part of everybody's job. This is one of the reasons why enterprises and government customers consistently tell us they like getting software from AWS Marketplace. Customers tell us that they trust the solutions in our catalog much more than they can trust other public repositories that don't have the same level of continuous vetting that we do. And we'll continue to focus on raising the bar as we grow our catalog and our capabilities so customers have access to all the software and data that they know, love, and trust, so that you can focus more of your attention on building amazing solutions for your customers. And in addition to telling us that they appreciate what we do to vet our catalog, customers also tell us that they appreciate how much more quickly they can navigate procurement cycles compared to traditional and often manual buying patterns. Anand just said by up to 50%. We support bring your own license products that are unlocked with seller-provided licenses. These are particularly useful for customers like Thomson Reuters, who are migrating large workloads to the cloud with their existing vendors. We offer free trials from sellers like Trend Micro, Palo Alto, and CrowdStrike, which enable customers to try the software before they commit to buying it. And we also offer a lot of dimensional flexibility. You can choose to buy software on an hourly or even as by second basis, pay monthly, or sign up for a multi-year contract when you know you're ready to go longer term. And all of these transactional capabilities can be combined with an unmatched number of ways to buy. When it's time to negotiate a custom deal or contract with your vendor or channel partner, we give you the ability to do so in a completely automated fashion through our private offer capabilities. We were the first cloud infrastructure provider to offer both private offers and channel partner private offers, and we have continued to add unmatched offer automation, which is why this has become the most common way for enterprises to buy larger contracts. We're also the only cloud provider with a fully transactable catalog, meaning we don't send customers to other third-party landing pages to learn more about a solution. Everything listed on AWS Marketplace is available to buy and consolidate on your AWS invoice with transparent pricing and terms publicly available. And finally, a little over half of our catalog is listed under standardized terms that TermScout rated in the top 6% of contracts that they reviewed, which gives customers the confidence that they're getting favorable terms, which can be particularly important, especially for enterprise customers who consume hundreds, if not thousands, of different SaaS applications across their enterprise. We also understand that customers, particularly large governments and enterprises, need to be able to govern their spend, entitlements, and who can buy what. A lot of customers we talk to love the self-service nature of AWS Marketplace, but can sometimes be a little bit nervous about the amount of shadow IT that it can create. These customers are delighted to learn that we have a number of governance capabilities that can help manage their digital supply chain much better in the cloud than they could without. Private Marketplace gives cloud administrators the ability to curate what listings from our catalog their organization can procure, with a workflow to approve new offerings if and as their builders ask for them. We have several APIs that are available for customers to integrate purchase order approvals and spend management into their existing procurement systems like Coupa and Ariba. And last year, we launched Managed Entitlements, which allows customers to share entitlements and govern licenses in a completely automated fashion across their AWS organizational units, so that they know that they're in compliance with the seller's terms and they don't have to buy the same software over and over again. We were the first cloud infrastructure to offer private marketplace, integration with procurement systems, and managed entitlements. There's just no compression algorithm for experience. We've learned so much from customers as they've moved their most material vendor relationships to AWS Marketplace over the last decade, and we're continuing to work backwards from what customers need to transform and automate their digital supply chain in a well-governed way as they migrate to the cloud. And along these lines, we recently launched a new version of the Management and Governance Lens as part of the AWS Well-Architected program. This lens provides you with the framework to set up your AWS environment with good governance from the start, so that you can manage, scale, and operate a secure and cost-effective cloud environment alongside your existing IT service management frameworks and tools like ServiceNow and Atlassian. And here, once again, we recognize that customers want to use best-in-class vendor solutions when setting up their cloud environments. So the lens includes the ISVs that can help you meet the needs of each of these perspectives, all of whom are available in Marketplace, and many of these are also deployable directly into AWS Control Tower, which many large enterprises are now using to automate the setup of their landing zones so that they can safely and confidently migrate to the cloud. We just published 12 new AWS Control Tower integrated solutions with vendors like BlueCat to help with IP address management, BigID to help with data privacy, ExtraHop for security and threat detection, Couchbase to automatically provision document databases, and a one-click integration with Snowflake and S3 via Service Catalog. These partners are delivering built-on Control Tower offerings to help customers achieve the management and governance posture that they're looking for, and brings together the automation of AWS Control Tower with AWS Marketplace so that you can get the right tool for the right job from the right vendor at the right time in your cloud journey. And specifically, for IT service management frameworks, we recognize that customers want to continue to use the ITSM tools that they already have, which is why we've offered service management connectors to ServiceNow and Atlassian. And I'm happy to announce a few new additions to this capability, including the support in our ServiceNow connector for AWS support incidents, as well as the ability to track ServiceNow changes in AWS Systems Manager Change Manager, as well as inventorying and tracking applications using AWS Service Catalog App Registry. And for professional services, customers also told us over the years that they often buy professional services to help them support and integrate complex software into their environment. We worked backwards from that customer need last year and launched a new professional services offering so customers can now bundle professional services and support into their complex software integrations and consolidate it onto their AWS invoice via AWS Marketplace as well. This is another innovation where we were the first cloud infrastructure marketplace to offer, and we now have over 150 ISVs across top categories, working with more than 1,000 consulting and professional services partners to help customers with complex software integrations all around the world. These include Accenture and Palo Alto partnering to offer managed firewalls. IPSense helps customers deploy effective controls, IAM permissions, and network connectivity in partnership with F5. And Ibex Labs is a cloud hosting accelerator with solutions like Datadog, New Relic, and Fortinet to establish security best practices in AWS. Software AG is just one example of a customer who's using a lot of these capabilities, who recently told us that the combination of these capabilities helped them realize a more than 50% cost savings compared to their traditional procurement motions. Now, I don't know about you, but I would take a 50% cost savings in any part of my business any day of the week. And we're delighted to help customers like Software AG with this kind of supply chain transformation. We've come a long way in the last 10 years, but with so many customers still at the very beginning of their transformation, there's still so much more we can do. Together, with your help and feedback, to help customers innovate, govern, and reduce their costs across their enterprise. To wrap up with just a little bit on giving back, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge some of the work that we're doing to help underprivileged communities get educated on and start careers in the cloud. AWS Restart is a full-time skills development and training program that prepares underemployed individuals for careers in the cloud at no cost and connects them to potential employers. This program is supported by funding from AWS, the government, and recruitment fees called Pay It Forward fees that the employers pay collaborating organizations when they successfully train and place a new graduate. These collaborating organizations are using AWS Marketplace to bill for the Pay It Forward fees, which are conveniently billed to a customer's AWS account and paid in full to the collaborating organization. I'm pretty excited about this program and delighted to have the opportunity to impact people's lives, their communities, and help customers close the skills gap at the same time. For those of you who are looking to go a bit deeper on any of the topics that I talked about throughout, here's a couple more sessions for you to consider. Either join them live at the show or check out the recordings as they're available online. And in case you haven't heard enough of me yet, or you're interested in learning about everything I've learned about cloud transformation, please stop by the Marketplace booth in about a half hour to get a signed copy of my book, Ahead in the Cloud. I really appreciate everybody's time today. I hope you'll join me in thanking our friends at both Palo Alto and Goldman Sachs for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you so much for coming.